There ain't much more American about making money off exploited legal loopholes. The biggest current example of that,
love me some loopholes,
nationwide, yes, is the quasi-legal procurement of THCA, a naturally occurring chemical compound that, when exposed to heat, becomes delta-9 THC, which also naturally gets you high. We've extensively covered several state governments attempting and failing to regulate THCA. Tennessee is just the latest. According to WKRN's Adam Mincer, Tennessee's Department of Agriculture began drafting regulations for manufacturing, sale, and testing of cannabis products months ago, in preparation for new state law compliance that went into effect July 1st. And now, attorneys representing several cannabis businesses in Tennessee said that they intend to sue if Tennessee Department of Agriculture finalizes regulations stopping the sale of the highly popular product. Mincer said that the state's, yes, very interesting, right? He said that the state's emergency regulations were met with resistance by cannabis retailers who are upset that the rules would make it illegal for them to sell THCA flower. In February, when the Department of Agriculture was accepting feedback on draft regulations, Canvast Supply Company CEO Devin Aracena said that THCA flower products make up about half of their products. Hemp Law Group attorney Alex Little said retailers were expecting to be able to obtain their license and see final regulations by July 1st because that is when the law goes into effect. But they have not. In response to News 2's questions about when the final rules will be sent out, the Department of Agriculture spokesperson said that they are committed to, quote, doing what is right and working to have the regulations completed as soon as possible. The July 1st deadline in the statute was for the department to have a licensing program in place for hemp-derived cannabinoid products. The department continues to work through all statutory and regulatory requirements to promulgate final rules. In the meantime, the department has issued emergency rules and has taken all required administrative action necessary to launch a program in accordance with the statute as codified, the spokesperson said. Until the final rules come out, Little says that many of his clients are left wondering whether their businesses will take a hit when the enforcement of these regulations begins in 2025. They would like to have some consistency and know what they are expecting to comply with. Sounds reasonable. He said that before adding that if the finalized regulations are the same as the ones that are in place now, that they tend to think that the impacts will be negative and intend to go to the courts to stop them. He said that he has spoken to the department about their intent to sue if it becomes illegal to sell THCA flower. We have told them time and time again, half the revenue in this industry comes from products containing THCA. I certainly don't think the legislature intended to cut the industry in half. We think the Department of Agriculture has overstepped its authority. The Department of Agriculture, on the other hand, seems to be calling Little and his clients bluff. And they said that they will not comment on any hypothetical lawsuits. Well, things seem to be decarboxylating rather nicely down in Tennessee. It's a fight that we're beginning to see echoed from state to state. I couldn't tell you one way or another who will emerge victorious in this whole battle. One thing I can say with confidence is the trap gonna do what the trap gonna do, and trappers gonna get that loophole money one way or another. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News, America's #1 daily news show.
Man, it's THCA, man. They're trying to hate on THCA in Tennessee. And
the hate is strong.
Man, shout out to these activists and these lawyers that are going to be fighting for their freedom.
They legalize Hawktua.
Yes.
Legalize Hawktua.
They're going to be making a lot of money, man. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits. There's going to be a lot of legal fees thrown around left and right. It's a good time to be a lawyer. Say that much.
Yeah, right? It's a great time to be a lawyer on this gig. Man,
I see you over there grinding your gears, Yarrow. What do you think about this? Come on, spit it out.
I think our federal government has done a terrible job. I think cannabinoids should be regulated based on whether they are psychotropic or non-psychotropic. I don't think it should matter whether it comes from cannabis or hemp. I think cannabis is overregulated and hemp is underregulated. And I think we will continue to see problems like this as a result of that until we have a coherent revised farm bill to work with.
You think
would it make sense to call cannabis?
I think cannabinoids, it doesn't matter whether it comes from cannabis or from hemp. I think we have those that are psychotropic and have intoxicating effects, and we have those that aren't. And we just, right down the middle, regulate them according to the effect they have on the human body and be done with all this mishigas.
Did you say mishigas?
Mishigas.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the Jewish section of Michigan, Jason.
Interesting choice of verbiage there today, y'all.
Oh, it's like Israel of the Upper Peninsula, huh?
Oh, man, Rico.
I think there's more Palestinians out there than that. I was just saying.
No water.
Whoa.
It was the Palestinian representation is strong in Michigan. Just saying.
They're deep out there. That part.
Okay. But I think, look, I mean, at the end of the day, what are people supposed to do but try to find relief in the courts if there's not clear guidelines?
That's
even
fair.
Unclear guidelines. I'm a big advocate for not going to the courts. I think that's usually for whiners and people who are just complaining. But if
winners if you're victorious.
Sure.
Then you're just a loser if you don't.
But the notion that you need to go to the courts to get your way isn't always something that I can sort of subscribe to personally.
Sometimes that's the only way, though. Sometimes that's the only way, Yarrow.
Well, without a revised farm bill, and people are still working off of 2018 guidelines.
I don't think they need to revise the farm bill. I think it's perfect just how it is.
Yeah, just like Adam's hair. It's inspiring, but I do think that until we get some revised guidelines, we're going to have problems like these continue to manifest in state after state after state, and it's not fair to the states, really, because they're trying to come up with these stopgap measures. What do we expect them to do?
Is that because of the formats of the manifest, Yarrow?
5 mats.
Wow.
Just asking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Just,
all right.
just asking. Just asking. You know, just saying.
But I do grit my teeth because I do think that these loopholes, you know, when you say trappers are going to trap, this is a different type of trapping. This is not traditional trapping.
This is trad trapping.
Because what do you mean? All weed sales operate like through Craigslist nowadays. So what?
Traditional trapping was dependent
but that was
upon
before
some
the
measure
internet.
Of covert operation.
That was before the internet.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
And this is
100%.
Adam, we need to start, because I have some Republicans on the show, can we start getting a real-time fact check for those?
Wow.
Yeah, Yarrow is a constitutional trapper.
Disrespect.
Yeah.
This is like when mom and dad used to argue back in the day, only now I have 2 gay dads.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Pause.
In order for it to be considered trapping.
No, but really, trapping was never about legal. Let me rephrase that. The legal loopholes that have been created as a result of the 2018 Farm Bill have provided unprecedented cover for people to do a variety of things, some that are inspiringly entrepreneurial and some that are just despicably terrible. And trapping, traditional trapping, didn't require some massive legal loophole in order for people to find a way to enrich themselves, potentially at the expense of consumers.
That was California cannabis for fucking all of Prop 215, wasn't it?
So Yarrow, so what I'm hearing is that you are advocating for stiffer penalties for trappers is what I'm hearing, because you're like bring back the.
He wants to put a lock on the trap.
Now we're going into
likes it stiff.
dads fighting, because that is not what I say.
That's the only thing I'm hearing.
We typically have in our relationship, which is why we go to couples counseling at least Monday and Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Because I don't feel heard by you, and you didn't put away the prime rib after I told you to clean up in the kitchen.
You just say I'm domestically challenged, so yeah. Anytime you tell me to clean up, nothing's gonna happen.
Now it's technically subprime rib.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is subprime rib. It's boof rib. So the thing that I'm saying is not that we need to have enforcement against the trappers, although there's an argument that some of that might be valid.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that without clear guidelines, without a rubric
A rubric?
an equation
Like
for
a-
people to operate in without people understanding where the lines are. We can't expect people to comply with whatever we think is common sense, because we don't all share common sense. And so we need guidelines that regulate cannabinoids according to how they affect the body. And to hell with whether it came from hemp or cannabis, because hemp is just cannabis's cousin without a big tall fence.
I think it's all the same person. I think it's just a Gemini, and you guys are trying to decipher between the two.
When I found your
THC,
profile, I
THC.
should have known that the way you talked about astrology was too much for me and that it might affect our relationship.
Just saying.
THCA is marijuana identifying as hemp.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. But
It's
in a
cannabis.
court of law, all my weed identifies as THCA. But
It's all cannabis.
yes, man, I love this story. I could go on for days on this shit.
Fucking
But-
Tennessee, dude. Get your shit together, Tennessee. Come on.
What are you saying, Jenny?
I gotta say,
You're gonna have plenty of time to talk
loophole-wise,
about
I
it,
hate
because
that the
every week we
loophole
see a
gave us
story like
Delta
this
8.
somewhere, usually from the Bible Belt,
sorry,
where
Jenny.
somebody's like, you know what? Let's sell this in a smoke shop. So
I'm with it.
We'll get to talk about it for probably years to come, Jason.
I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait.
What were you saying, Slade?
I was
Stone?
just saying, loophole wise, I hated how it gave us the Delta 8, but the frickin' outlaw in me is kind of loving the THCA thing. Texas Monthly came out last month, and they went to a bunch of dispensaries in Texas and tested this hemp, which we're coming back at like 24% THC.
Yeah.
Straight up, we've legalized it in Texas. They just don't know yet. So I'm loving it.
See what I'm saying,
Yeah, it
Stone?
definitely happens a lot here in Missouri too. Everywhere, any place you go to, you can go to a gas station, get a Snickers and a THCA 8.
I mean, in all essence, Stone is probably loving life because he doesn't have to smoke Delta 8 anymore. He can just smoke THCA now.
Right here, Jason.
Just saying.
Listen,
It's true.
I got nothing to say to you.
I know.
Delta 8 queen.
I know. Speaking of that, we're going to roll right into a commercial and we're
Not
going to be
messing with
right
my
back.
sweetheart.